All right, let's get into it. From the title of this live stream, the most important drum lesson we always forget. Let's get away from that camera. So here we go. Talking directly into the camera over there. How's it looking? The new camera is set up. Hopefully it's cleaner and sharper. All right. So what I want to talk about today, this comes up often. It's an issue that comes up often with students. Usually when they are adults who got into music later, wanting to be a musician a little bit later, no kind of like childhood experience or maybe limited childhood experience, and wanting to play the drum set, which is a very complicated, complex instrument that requires a ton of physical coordination and dexterity, and also mental, because you have to be able to divide your attention to 4 different limbs, and also just fundamentals of music that, if those aren't there, everything else just becomes incredibly overwhelming. So I want to do one stream here, hopefully that I can share with everyone. What's up, Bill? Thanks for tuning in. That hopefully I can share, that you can share with students or help you, and I will be sharing with students, is reinforcing the essential, fundamental stuff that usually is developed early in childhood if you're in a community that embraces music and music is part of your life. So the number one lesson that we always forget is you need to listen to a ton of music all the freaking time. Constantly be listening to music to reinforce pulse, time signature, subdivision, form, melody, harmony, rhythm. All that stuff just gets absorbed in, and then it makes figuring stuff out on the drums, it makes more sense. You can comprehend it a little bit better. So the first thing that we don't do enough is just listen to music and find the pulse. So this is all Jim Riley's Survival Guide for Modern Drummer Play-Alongs. I don't think they get flagged, that's why I'm using these. I'm just gonna randomly pick one, and the first thing is, how quickly can you find the pulse? The pulse is just where you would clap your hands, tap your foot, if you're gonna walk in tempo with the song. Where is that repeated pattern? So we'll go with this one first. And just snap your fingers.
1, 2,
you don't have to do anything crazy.
2, 3, 4.
So it's fast, but there's still a pulse. You should just feel it, right? If you don't feel it, mess around until you find where would you walk or jog or march to this thing. It's like, it seems simple, but if that's not inherent, and when you put music on, you're hearing the pulse right away, you're never going to be able to play the drum set well. Let's do another one. Syncopated pop rock. So how quickly can you find where that pulse is, the underlying, it gives it to you in the beginning. You listen just to the count off. All right, so just listening to music, can you keep track of where this pulse is? Even though something might change that could potentially throw you off, this never changes. Most of the time. Some music, the tempo changes, but right? So this is easy to practice. Just listen to music. Listen to music that you enjoy and just go the whole way through the song without losing that pulse. Or if you want to dance or tap your foot. It's all kind of coming back to, this is dance music. It should make your body do something in a certain pace. That's what we're looking for. All right, let's do something different. Up-tempo 12/8 blues is going to be different. Just trying to find the pulse. All right, slightly different, but again, in this case, he's giving it to you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe that wasn't super easy to find. Like if that count off wasn't there, could you find it? I'm gonna jump ahead. Pulse. Find the pulse. Commit to it. Lock in. Find something in the music that cues you. I'm hearing the shaker and the tambourine and also the bass. It's giving me that pulse. Can you do that the whole way through a song without getting distracted, without dropping off the beat? It's harder than you might think. There might be little pauses like that. Can you keep it going through that pause? Pause, not pulse. Right, so that's a slightly different style. Let's go with jazz, a bebop song. What's up, Adam? Again, we're trying to find the pulse. This is something that we all, unless, again, I'm gonna repeat from what I said in the beginning, unless you're brought up in a musical culture where music is just part of your life and dancing and music is part of your existence, or you've gone through a good music educational program where they teach this stuff early on in your life, you might not have any idea how to find the pulse in music. Music might just sound like a puzzle. That's okay. Just listen for wherever you would tap your foot. All music, except for free jazz and some contemporary classical, has a pulse. Certainly all pop or dance-based music. So if I stop, the bass is giving you the pulse. And the guitar is doing some counter rhythms to it, but that pulse is always there. You've got to be able to latch on to it. I mean, you can do that. I've been listening to a lot of folkloric Afro-Cuban music because for years that just sounded like alien music to me, and I'm trying to, can I latch on to the pulse of that music, which is completely foreign to me. And it's done a lot to help me solidify my hearing and my internal clock. Let's go with something else. Rockabilly Shuffle. Find the pulse. By the way, I've got some new pasties here. And again, it's faster. The bass is giving it to you. That's your pulse. We're not worried about time signature, subdivision, none of that stuff yet. Just can you find the pace that you would jog or walk? And then if you have sticks, just play the quarter notes. Soon, in a lot of my experience, soon as you initiate a stick on an instrument, it just makes the brain collapse on itself. That's when things fall apart. It's like most of us can do this, or like tap our foot. As soon as we're like, now play the instrument, it's like all of a sudden the brain just goes into freak out mode. So that's the next step, is can you just play quarter notes? Sounds simple and basic, but that can be very challenging. Let's go for, there's a go-go beat, it says. Last one, then I'll move on to something else. So find the pulse.
3, 4, 1.
Again, he's giving it to you. This is a go-go kind of funk feel. It still has a pulse. 2, 3, 2. There's all this rhythm that plays against that, but it's in there. Sorry, my mic is peaking. Don't let any of those stops distract you. You're just locked in. You're marching down the street. And then you start to hear that guitar is playing against it. It's kind of cool. There's a shaker that's lining up right with it. There's some percussion that's playing off the pulse. Bass is kind of dancing around it, but it always gives you the big beat, which we'll talk about next. All right, just do that for an entire song. It is not too easy. It is not too basic. Listen to the music, find the pulse. And then just, pick your favorite records and things that go through all the stuff you can do, whatever that may be. Beatles and Tom Petty and kind of more kind of straightforward stuff, and then push it into some music that you don't fully understand, and see if you can do it then. Like here we go. Here's a samba, medium samba. It's going to be a big pulse, but it might not be obvious.
1, 2, 3.
He gives it to you though. So this, you have to decide, where would you move your body? You wouldn't move like this. You would move like this. So there's your pulse. Play the pulse with different instruments. You have to listen. The whole point is we're hearing in your ears while your body does other stuff. Don't let yourself get derailed because, let me play the bass drum. It's got to stay right on that pulse. Hi-hat. Left foot. Don't let any of this physical stuff derail you from just playing a pulse. Okay, that is step one. Can you do that? Can you find the pulse in any music that you put on that has a pulse? So stay away from like late era John Coltrane and Ornette Coleman and contemporary classical music. Anything that's in some more mainstream pop inspired dance music world. Just put it on. Play the pulse. Play the pulse for the entire song. Let yourself absorb the music. Don't get distracted by the music. Latch into whatever is helping you with that pulse. That can be very challenging. So that's your pulse. That's just a repeated benchmark of time that would dictate the type of dance or whatever you would do. Those pulses are then organized into what we call time signatures. So what is the repeated number of pulses before the music seems to have a cycle that sticks to? So you'll have a pulse, and then those pulses are going to be organized in groups of 3 or 4, most often. So you have to figure out which one it is, and then that's your time signature. We won't get into odd times and compound meters and stuff. That's not important right now. We're trying to find basic pulse, basic time signature. Spoiler, almost everything's going to be 4/4. So here we go. Swung 16th pop. So we're going to find the pulse, and then we're going to find the time signature. He's giving it to you again. There's your pulse. Now listen. How many pulses before something changes in the music? Chords, it's a different chord, different chord, different chord. How many pulses is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So it's 4, 4. It's 4 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So now you're counting and clicking or tapping. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Again, can you go the whole song? 1, 2, 3. Don't let any of that syncopation mess you up. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I started to slow down just a little bit, so I had to adjust. That's all part of the process. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So far, everything's in 4, 4. No surprises. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So that's basically a 4/4. There might be like a 2/4, 5/4, something in the arrangement that will make it more interesting by delaying or truncating the resolution. But in general, that's a 4/4 song. Let's go. Let's see if I can find something that'll be a little bit less obvious. Here we go. I'm going to skip the time signature count off. So we're going to jump right in the middle of this one. If I can get Dropbox to cooperate. Okay. All right, where's our pulse? It's a little bit deceptive, not deceptive, but not as obvious. Now where are the chords changing? Piano's doing it. Bass is kind of giving you a heavy 1, 1, 1, 1. So what time signature? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2. So this is 3/4 because it's 3 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So now we're in 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Riveting drum content, I know, but that's why this gets ignored. Because it's like, oh, that's easy, let's move on to playing paradiddles and stuff. This is the hardest part of being a drummer. I just sped up. I wasn't paying attention. Can you keep solid, consistent time? Can you listen and adapt? Can you identify time signature, pulse, form, subdivision? It's not something to skip over. And you can do this anywhere. When you're just in your daily life listening to music, put on your AirPods or whatever, you don't have to be annoying about it and snapping your fingers, but you can just tap you can do the one-handed clap, you could tap your leg, you could do any number of things, tap your foot. But can you get through a 3.5 minute, 4 minute song, start to finish, identifying the pulse and time signature, and get all the way through without getting derailed? Or if you feel yourself speeding up or slowing down, can you adjust and bring it back in? That's like 90% of being a drummer. Then it's just doing that with sticks in your hands, and now you're a drummer. Okay, so that's pulse and time signature. The next thing would be subdivision. What is the underlying subdivision of that pulse that is being used throughout the song. So we'll go back to this first one. How is that pulse being divided is what we're trying to figure out. So we've got our pulse. We could hear from the chords. That's in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how is that pulse being divided? You hear the bass, doom, 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 doom. You hear a shaker doing that. Guitar strumming, ching, 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 ching. So it's dividing the pulse into 2, which are called eighth notes, because there's 8 of them. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. And we count eighth notes differently. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so we can keep track of our time signature. 3, 4. 1 and 2 and hang on, I gotta skip these ads. Oh, just ads will be popping up. 2, 3, 4, and then you just say and in between. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so our subdivision is eighth notes. So far we've heard nothing but eighth notes. Tambourine, shaker, guitar, bass. They're all just playing eighth notes. And then there's some other stuff that's playing longer notes over top. But you're 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So it's an eighth note subdivision in 4/4. 3 and 4. 2 and 3 and 4. Now again, you can play that with sticks in your hands on the hi-hat with anything. Try different sounds, because each sound's going to blur, potentially confuse your ear a little bit. This sizzle ride. Every sound's going to introduce some other challenge. Bass drum, 3 and 4, and hi-hat foot. Right? You can do that again anywhere. Just tap on your leg. Let's just find the pulse, identify the time signature, identify the smallest subdivision, or the primary subdivision that's being used. And now you're getting that much closer to playing a groove with 100% conviction. So let's go. There we go. Let's try this one.
1, 2.
We're going to find the pulse, time signature, and then subdivision. All right, this one's tricky. There's our pulse. It's a slow pulse. How do you count this? Listen to where the chords are changing. What's a subdivision? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since this is kind of more our consistent pulse, it's an eighth note. So now we're in an eighth note time signature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 8, 4, 5, 6. But you're also hearing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and with the percussion. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I think that's just there. That percussion is just there for this product to give you something to latch onto when you're playing along. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything else in the track playing the 16ths. Now the piano. So 16th note is your smallest subdivision. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So yeah, guitar is playing some 16th notes now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you could play. You could just play the big pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could play the next note, next smallest subdivision. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6, 1. You could play the 16th notes. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. The whole time counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So that one gives you a lot more options when you're playing along to it, jumping ahead. So I'm still thinking in my head 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6. So all that drumming is solidified by this underlying boom that's just going in my subconscious constantly. So even if I try something syncopated, it's going to land because I'm not letting the complication of playing the instrument get me off focus from this pulse. So pulse, time signature, primary subdivision. Now, how do you apply that to playing drums? Let's go back to this one. Simple, slow, moody rock.
1, 2, 3.
Find your pulse. Right. Time signature 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Subdivision, eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now, reinforce the time signature with the bass drum on 1. Again, that might seem super simple with a song like that, but let's go to something that might be a little bit trickier. fast bebop. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
So pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Time signature. Subdivision. Deca, 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 deca. Swung ace. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So play the pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, obviously no one's gonna hire you to play bebop if you do that, but that's not the point. I'm playing the pulse and I'm reinforcing the time signature with the bass drum on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Goes a long way for just solidifying. Then you can start hearing, well, that sounds weird. Why does that sound weird? Now can you find the 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So play the pulse. Now, it needs something to counter that heavy 1. So that's the downbeat on the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, down, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's solidifying the groove down. It's marking the beginning of the repeated pattern. So what's called the backbeat would be the counter to that. So if you did it, if you did exact middle, it would be this. Let's see if that makes it any better. So that's the backbeat. Downbeat, backbeat, or what used to be called the afterbeat. Downbeat, afterbeat.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, it's more appropriate just by adding that at that backbeat on beat 3. It makes it feel a little bit more appropriate. But in this style, you want to play the upbeat 1, 2, and a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. This would be where you would, you know, clap along. If a big group of people who understood rhythm, where would they clap along to this type of music? So we're going to play that,
1, 2, 3, 4.
the upbeat, against 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's our time signature, pulse, backbeat. All right, turn this thing off. Again, no one's going to hire you to play bebop like that, but it's starting to become a groove. You have to start there. You can't go straight into like, I want to play like Jack DeJohnette if you can't do that, right? That's what you would inherently be doing if you were just surrounded by this music your entire life. You would hear where that 1 was. The art of jazz is how it plays off of the obvious. The 1 is not always there. this becomes really, it's an implied 1, 1. But if you don't know where the 1 is, how the heck can you imply it, right? Okay, so let's go to something that's not bebop. Let's just go back to something normal, kind of rock, medium pop rock. Same thing. Find the pulse, find the time signature,
1, 2,
find the subdivision.
1, 2.
So first thing is, what's the pulse right here? How many times, what's the repeat cycle? It's actually an 8-beat cycle, but very rarely is music in 8/4 time. So it's 2 measures of 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Then the chords change. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Now the chord changes. 1. So put your 1, 2. Now we have our time signature with the bass drum on 1. What's our primary subdivision? 8th notes, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So play that. Now, like with the jazz track, you create a groove by emphasizing those backbeats. So 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 2, 4. So we're going to play those with the snare while still playing all the 8th notes, 3 and 4 and 1. See how all this stuff has to be going on at all times. 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3, and then you play the backbeat. 2 to give it a groove. 1 and 3 and 4. So that's a simple groove. It works. I could have recorded the whole track like that. And the whole thing is based on delineating the pulse and subdivision with whatever timekeeper. The time signature is emphasized with the bass drum. And then what makes it have an actual groove to it is playing the backbeat either on the snare drum, or in the jazz case, it would be with the left foot. Now, the last step, this is the last step of all this kind of fundamental music lesson stuff that many of us skip over too fast, or just weren't exposed to it enough early on in our life, that when we try to play the drum set at a high level as an adult or a teenager, we just get frustrated because these fundamentals haven't been reinforced enough. So the last thing is phrasing. So I'm going to play that compiled groove, 1 on the bass drum, playing the subdivisions on the hi-hat, playing the backbeats on the snare. And I'm going to emphasize on the crash, the changes in the form. So how many measures is in the cycle? So you've got pulses. How many pulses are in a cycle to create a time signature? 2, 3, 4, 1. How many of those 4/4 measures go into what's called a phrase, which would be the verse or the chorus or the intro, A section, B section, bridge. Like there's going to be an obvious change of tonality or intensity or something that tells you that you went from one section to another section. And I'm going to hit the crash at those changes. Nothing else is going to be any different.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So what I'm listening for is where does the cycle of measures now repeat? Usually it's 4 bars, 8 bars, something like that. So you hear the chords, there's a progression of chords that eventually they come, usually, most of the time, cycle back around. Most predictably in 4-bar phrases. So let's just listen to it. 1, 2, here's the first chord. Remember that sound. That's a different sound. That's back to the first sound. Back to that second sound, or if it's going to go anywhere different. Back to that first sound. So how many measures is that? To the second sound. Now it changed. Now we're going to a different section. Different sound. Different sound. Back to the beginning with slightly different. This would be the chorus. Different chord progression. Right? So trying to hear the chords when they change, when they repeat. So the intro.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Different chord. 2, 3, 4, 2. Back to the first chord. Boom. That's a 4-bar phrase before that little guitar melody comes in. So as you're listening, then you can start saying, I'm going to predict where I think those changes are going to be based on what I'm hearing, because the chords are going to lead you somewhere naturally. And just hit that crash. It's not something, again, you would do on a gig, but you could. You certainly could.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was an unnecessary crash because it's a cycle repeating. So that verse, we'll call it a verse, is actually an 8-bar phrase. So the intro is 4, the verse is 8. Only crash when it needs to be there.
2, 3, 4.
I mean, literally, Steve Jordan has made millions of dollars in his career doing essentially that. Played the most simplest, serviceable groove with the strongest conviction, an undeniable sense of pulse and subdivision and phrasing, and just marking the important spots with a crash or an open hi-hat note, occasionally a drum fill. I mean, and then everything else is just what else do you add on the bass drum that might reinforce what's happening in the bass guitar? What else could you add on the snare drum that might reinforce or give it a certain feel? But at this stage of the game, put on any music that you enjoy, play that. Play the 1 on the bass drum, the backbeat, 2 and the 4 if you're in 4/4, and it's a rock, pop, R&B thing. Play the subdivisions on top, whether it's 3 or 8, depending if it's a 8th note subdivision or a triplet kind of 6/8 feel, and then hit a crash only when the phrasing changes, which means you have to listen. You have to know the song. You have to kind of predict how these chords are going to move and get used to hearing what happens when something goes to the 5 chord, or what is a 7th chord or a minor 6. Like all these things, you'll start to hear. You might not know what it is, but you'll hear it because it's predictable. Most major tonality, minor tonality in contemporary music is predictable. It's to take you on a story that you kind of know where it's going to go, and then occasionally the arranger or the composer does something unpredictable, and that's when you're like, that was super cool. They took this song somewhere I wasn't expecting. But most of the time it's going to be pretty predictable. So do that. Give it a shot. Don't overlook it. Do it often. Listen to music constantly. Listen to music you like. Listen to music that you don't like, but you know it's good just based on expert opinion or something like that. Listen to music that you're unfamiliar with. Listen to music that you're curious about. Try to find the pulse. Try to be able to nail the pulse the whole time through the performance. Identify the time signature. Count the time signature out loud. Play the subdivision while still counting the time signature and pulse. Play the 1. Play the backbeat. You're good. You can go through all the classic material of all the artists and musicians that we all love, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and Marvin Gaye and Al Green and all the Motown records. It's kind of all there. And then once you can get through a handful of these without getting derailed, again, don't let syncopations and accents and stops and stuff derail you. That pulse keeps going. Everyone in that band is feeling that pulse, even if the music has some unpredictable hits and stops and stuff. So latch onto that. Do that for 10, 15 years. And then we can start adding in some other rhythms. No, I'm joking, but it is important. It's definitely important. And it'll help eliminate a lot of the confusion and frustration when you start to, I want to play like Mark Juliana or something. Of course, I mean, for me as a young drummer, I want to play like Vinnie Colaiuta. Well, if you can't play quarter notes in time and you can't keep track of 4/4, and you can't, you can't lay down a simple 16th note fill without rushing or dragging or getting derailed, there's no way you're going to be able to do groups of 5s and 7s and hand to foot patterns like Vinnie does, because his fundamentals are perfect. Really, when you start transcribing a lot of stuff that guys like Vinnie Colaiuta and Dave Weckl do, they're just most of the time quarters, 8s, triplets, 16s, 16th triplets, 32nd notes. Sometimes grouped in unusual ways, but usually their command of that fundamental information is just so strong that it makes it sound easy and difficult all at once. It sounds incredibly inspiring, maybe a little bit like, I could do that. But if they didn't have those fundamentals locked in, it would just be a mess. So give it a shot, and I will expand on this probably in the next one. So have a good day. See you next time.